Good morning again. Head fakes are very big in sports as well as in advertisements. Anecdotal comments and our chapel theme for this year decided by our community from the Gospel of Matthew: with God, all things are possible. Head fakes stop us in our tracks. In many sports such as lacrosse, field hockey, football, and basketball, to name just a few, we seem to be going in one way. Our opponent, albeit too late, makes a move that direction. We give the head fake and we go in the opposite direction. In the spoken and written word, we think that one thing is going to be said and another comes our way, causing us to stop in our tracks and see whatever irony or verbal misdirection that seems to stop right where we are. And this can also happen after a comment is made, and these situations at times can be humorous. Picture an airline stewardess having the following exchange with perhaps the greatest boxer of all time, who was recently honored by the Constitution Center, Muhammad Ali. As the story goes, when Ali was in his prime, he was seated on an airplane. The stewardess said politely, "Mr. Ali, you need to fasten your seatbelt before we take off." Ali indicated to her, "Superman doesn't need a seatbelt." What could a stewardess say in response to protect Ali's integrity? As the story goes, she replied, "Superman doesn't need an airplane either." Stopped him in his tracks. He didn't see it coming. He fastened his seatbelt. You think a person has called you to have a meeting with you to criticize you, but you meet and they speak warmly and in a glowing fashion about your work. Head fake stops us in our tracks. I ask a student to come to my office and she begins with a litany of things that she didn't do. Meanwhile, I just wanted to check on her to see how she was doing. Head fake stopped her in her tracks. One of my ethics students had a quotation in his final paper in the spring term that caused me to stop and think right in the middle of grading it. It was from James Dean. "Dream as if you'll live forever. Live as though you will die today." And one of our brilliant student writers, in describing the human tendency to want more and more material things, used the phrase in her final essay that they were acolytes of the coin. What an amazing phrase. One that I certainly will remember throughout all my days. Stop me in my tracks. Sometimes head fakes, as coaches know, don't work. And we run right into the opponent, getting the very opposite of what we had wanted. Adidas, the running apparel company, found this to be true, as well as Joe Biden in his remarks this summer. Adidas was advertising a new shoe this summer that had a shackle-like strap that was made so that it would surround someone's ankle on the top of the shoe. This was to replace what some of us know to be the high-top sneaker. To use a phrase, the shackles raised hackles, as the shoe became a symbol for slavery. The designer said that they were meant to be, quote, lighthearted and quirky, end of quote. Adidas pulled them before they could even be released in August. Head fake stopped them in their tracks. And then there is Suri. God bless her. The voice-activated response on some of our iPhones. I was trying to return an urgent call, and Suri kept asking me what I wanted. Where was Will Forbes when I needed him? I was so frustrated that I yelled into the phone, full volume, "Nothing!" Suri responded with, "I have found 3 towns named Nothing, but none of them are close to you." Head fake stopped me in my tracks. And then there's God. She loves the head fake and really invented it. Did you stop for a moment when I indicated that God was a she? When you were expecting a he? Head fake. Our chapel theme is the word spoken by the gospel writer Matthew. With God, all things are possible. Now, if I polled all of you this morning, we probably wouldn't be in absolute agreement with that statement. Actually, that would be an understatement. Some would say, absolutely true. I believe that 100%. Others might say, wait a minute. That unrealistic statement is the problem with religion. It isn't based in reality. It isn't reasonable. Others may say, no matter how hard I pray and train, I'm never going to run a 5-minute mile. It is not possible. Still others might say that God answers all prayer, but not always in the way that we discern. Can you imagine the dinner time conversation that could be had around that simple declarative statement? With God, all things are possible. How about if we ask one another, those of us in this room, what it means? Which I actually hope you will do. It will probably be a reflection of the long-held belief that to discuss religion and politics in civilized company is not a thing you do. I must admit there have been some references to it this morning. That last year and this past summer, during all the trauma that we experienced as a school community, that I was having arguments, conversations with God that were very much like those that Job had. Why? 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 And I got the same answer as Job did, that in the real tight spots in life, reason doesn't prevail. Faith does. I prayed and thought about this theme. With God, all things are possible. And for me, it is a head fake. It couldn't possibly be about getting everything we want. Our experience in this world tells each and every one of us that. We will all not agree on its meaning. The head fake that stops us in our tracks is to consider that perhaps this is a statement about the importance of us not getting what we want, but getting what we need. Specifically, the importance of having hope in our lives, which is at the heart of the major religious traditions. I think we all could agree that an element of faith is to live with hope. Hope could be construed as the central ingredient. Perhaps two words need to be added to this thought. Live life as if all things were possible with God. Perhaps Jesus was emphasizing the importance of hope, which needs to be in the marketplace of a school and all of its deliberations. I believe that this statement is God's way of having us think about what makes things possible in our lives, as well as what makes things impossible. For me, hope is an attitude that has been, can be contagious in our community. Henry Ford said it simply: if you think you can, you will. If you think you can't, you won't. Why don't we always live then with hope and a can-do spirit and consider the possibilities as we approach things in life? The answer, I believe, is that we are battling with our own human nature. We've all had the experience of many people saying, affirming things about us, but one person may be highly critical. What do we usually do? What do our students usually do? We and they usually dwell on the one negative, the impossible, and forget about the positives, the possibilities. It is easier for us and our human nature to think about something that can't be done, for that attitude lets us off the hook of responsibility. Thinking that something is impossible is based in our human nature of not wanting to fail, of not taking a risk, of not taking a chance regarding something that is put before us. I loved the sign last year on the inside of a kindergarten classroom, lower school leading the way. I believe the sign is a key to learning and living. It said simply, "This is a mistake-making place." Tal Ben-Shahar was a positive psychology professor at Harvard who presided over one of Harvard's most well-attended courses in the history of the school. It was a positive psychology course called Happier. And one of Shahar's points in the course, a key point, was the secret to happiness is an attitude. Learn to fail or fail to learn. We need as a church school to get in line with the gospel of hope, which resonates with a positive, possible spirit. This is an important year for that. We have many opportunities where it would be easy to say that's impossible. We have the possibilities of experiential learning, 21st century learning, multiple ways of evaluating teachers and others so that it is growth producing, found in Folio, a new organization possibly of a J term, May term, interdisciplinary initiatives, our one-to-one computer program, to name just a few, and the very, very important selection of a new head of school who can meet the challenges in the tradition of Greville Haslam, James Quinn, Jay Crawford, and Ham Clark. Finally, what is the bedrock from which possibility and hope arises for us? God had another head fake that has stopped us in our tracks. A son who dies but lives on in us as the essence of hope in the Christian faith. Make no mistake about it. That hope is the foundation of our school, has been since its beginning right up to this day. But it's what our school does best. We have been, we are, and will continue to be a force to encourage hope, just at the time that all seems lost, as our hope is not just for today, but it's for tomorrow as well. That is our tradition that shapes everything that we do. It is the hope that could make us acolytes of a different coin from what my student was describing. We could be acolytes of a coin that is inscribed with these words: challenging and nurturing mind, body, and spirit. We inspire boys and girls to lead lives of purpose, faith, and integrity. Let's have another great year. Please stand for the singing of the school song.